many years ago, my brother James and I started playing a game called Taking a Trek Score. This involved spotting someone who had been a cast member, supporting actor, guest star, or cameo on Star Trek, and pointing it to the other for a Trek score. We had both seen every episode of the first Star Trek series so many times that we basically had an encyclopedic knowledge of every actor who had ever appeared on the show. I'm kidding, almost. It was always fun to spot someone like Nancy Kovac, Stephen Hatt, Louise Sorrell, or so many others in bit parts on some movie or television show, and then take the score. Some were harder than others because of alien makeup on Star Trek, but none in the spotted appearance. There was a time when many different shows were available for the game, but that time is gone. The shows that featured that stable of actors that populated the shows of Desilu, MGM, and even Ziv Productions have been relegated to tender mercies of such outlets as TVland, FediV, Grit TV, and so on. These channels have catalogs of old shows that some watch for interest and others hide in to avoid the modern world. Streaming over the internet has brought us services like Pluto TV and Crackle, which do the same. Some of the major streaming services also maintain some seasons of the more popular and valuable old shows, the ones that have a higher level of repeatability. Twilight Zone and Mission Impossible are found on Paramount Plus, home to the full catalog of Star Trek series. Starz has the entire run of Wagon Train, and Prime Video has 8 seasons of The Virginian. YouTube and archive.org are the places to dig up spotty quality uploads of the really old ones. Thus, Taking a Trek Score has been revived. Someone could now binge all 7 seasons of Mission Impossible, which was produced at Desilu, and see dozens of actors who populated the small parts on both shows. It was taking the opportunity to watch the entire run of Mai that led me to want to try and watch every episode written by Gene Roddenberry prior to Star Trek. This led to the idea that it might be fun to watch every show that had Leonard Nimoy in it, and it just expanded from there. Included in this book is almost 200 television episodes that can be found online for free viewing. It's a good place to start if one is interested in looking at the early careers of these beloved actors. In the early 60s, William Shatner was an up-and-coming lead actor. He was charismatic and dedicated, so anyone could see that he was going to be a star. Timing and fate put him in need of a series for regular work, and the one he had just signed for got canceled. Suddenly, Star Trek beckoned. Leonard Nimoy was an acting teacher and character actor who had very few major roles in a decade of struggling as an actor. But Gene Roddenberry had seen him and later picked him for the role that would transform his career. DeForest Kelley was another actor who had scratched and worked in small role after small role. Fortunately, Roddenberry had also seen and worked with him. When the time came to form that close-knit group of actors who could make Star Trek possible, each of them were available. Grace Lee Whitney also struggled along in small parts where her character didn't have a name or was a saloon girl. Gene gave her a chance in his pilot for the show Police Story as Lily Monroe. He envisioned her character as more than just an ornament on the show, but a part of the team. When that pilot didn't sell but Star Trek did, he switched her into the role of Yeoman Rand, who also was planned to be a more substantial role. But the emergence of the triumvirate of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy as central to the show left little room for any more substantial members of the team, and she was written off before the first episode aired. George Takei fought to raise the level of parts offered to Asian actors, not satisfied with the typical Hop Sing or Hey Boy roles that were common in that era. His gamble paid off when he got the role as Mr. Sulu in Star Trek and set a new standard for Asian characters. In the second season of Star Trek, George Takei was delayed in returning to the show because of his role in the John Wayne Vietnam War film, The Green Berets. To fill his slot in the cast, Roddenberry brought a young actor who had performed in an episode of The Lieutenant, named Walter Koenig as a Russian crewman named Chekhov. There are many stories about why this was a Russian character. Some say that the Soviets, who had an advanced space program, were dismayed that no character on Star Trek was Russian. Some say that the powers that be wanted to appeal to the younger viewers with a cute Beetle Monkeys mop-top type. My personal opinion is that Gene Roddenberry saw a chance to stick it to his old pals Norm Felton and Sam Rolfe by stealing their most popular character. Felton had passed on Star Trek in favor of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. which indeed turned out to be a major hit. The character of Ilya Kuryakin, played by David McCallum, was a sensation. Once at a personal appearance at Macy's in New York at the height of the show's popularity, an appearance by the actor set off a Beatlemania-level riot. I believe that Roddenberry saw a chance with the Chekhov character to have his own Ilya. Nichelle Nichols was a well-respected singer and dancer who had made herself into a good actor, starting with her theater with Frank Silvera in Los Angeles. Then with her groundbreaking appearance on Roddenberry's The Lieutenant, she became the groundbreaking character of Lieutenant Uhura on Star Trek and became one of the handful of well-remembered African-American actresses of the 60s. Barbara Babcock played several roles in Star Trek, including Me-3, a citizen of Eminiah Roman 7, in the episode A Taste of Armageddon, and Philana, a Platonian woman with psychokinetic powers, in the episode Plato's Stepchildren. She also provided multiple voices for the show for aliens and computers as needed. She would later play well-thought-of roles in Hill Street Blues and Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. Actors in early 1960s television was a pretty small club. The same faces worked together time and time again, sometimes under contract to one studio or another at the same time or part of group of preferred actors and crew of a producer or director. Directors and producers knew of actors they could count on to perform in the desperate time schedules that television required. It's a long list of actors who pop up in these early episodes with future Star Trek cast, and then also appear as guest actors on one or more episodes. Jason Evers, Kathy Brown, Stuart Moss, Gene Bao, Lou Antonio, Warren Stevens, Harry Landers, Michael Ansara, Sherry Jackson, Leslie Parrish, Stanley Adams, Malachi Throne, Joan Collins, Roger C., Carmel, Mariette Hartley, and Julie Newmar are just a few. A really prime Trek score is to spot Ambassador Fox from the episode A Taste of Armageddon, Gene Lyons in the episode in Laredo. Being produced at Desilu gave Desilu access to many actors who were also appearing in Mission Impossible, which was being produced in the studio at the same time. In its first season, Star Trek used a rotating group of directors, and many of these directors had actors that they had relied on in the past and brought to Star Trek. Some had long and distinguished careers, others shorter, and others left the business for other reasons. Because we had played the game so long, the actors have become part of a larger tapestry of the Star Trek universe, and some have found sideline careers filling out rosters of guests at Star Trek, and found that there is a coterie of devotees who know them from this one job taken at Desilu on some weird sci-fi show. That was just one of many parts, despite anything they might have otherwise. Be careful though. Once you start taking a Trek score, it's hard to turn back.